third straight Super Bowl for the Pats was a successful one. My name's Kay. We've got Nate Burleson, Kyle Brandt, and Peter Schrager here. Kyle, what would your advice be to fans out there today? Pace yourselves, right? You were at the Eagle celebration, an epic million people one last year.
Yeah, go to my advice is just go to it. Sometimes these parades can get a little bingo boardy. You know, there's the crazy guy, the guy who dances you wouldn't expect, the MVP says next year. But if you're actually there, you never know what you're going to see. I remember I was at Philly last year. I was at the Rocky Steps, and there's millions of people, thousands, and it's around this park and these trees. And I looked up, and there's these Philly fans. They were around this tree, and there was all this buzz, and they're looking up with their cameras. I said, what's going on? 50 feet up in this tree, they're like, it's a bald eagle. An actual bald eagle had landed in the tree. And then, so I go to take my camera out, and I'm taking a picture, and I go, wait a second. That's just an idiot in an Eagles costume. He had climbed all the way to the top of the tree, and people thought it was a bird, and he didn't fall. So these eyes can't unsee
just
that.
Just a bald Eagles fan?
It's just like a bald Eagles fan. Go to the parade.
I would not urge people to climb trees.
No, don't. Especially if they're greased.
But still, just go. Just go to the parade.
You never know what you're going to see.
And they will. It's time for another edition of Believe It or Not. Hey, first statement, there's no arguing that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. But let's go a step further here. Tom Brady is the greatest football player of all time. This is tough, Dregs, believe it or not.
Kay, I got heated with our producer in the morning meeting, our producer Laura. I said, you can't do that. That's a show. That's not a 3-second segment.
That's 3 hours.
That's 3 hours. That's the entire offseason. But I will present you another option. That's what I'll do. Because Brady versus whoever. I'm going to go with Jim Brown. Jim Brown, the legendary Browns running back. And it's because of the other ways that other people revere him. It was before my time.
Sure.
I don't know. But when Jim Brown is in a room, as he was at the NFL Honors, people stop in their tracks and pay homage. It's different than Montana. It's different than Namath. Jim Brown, guys, really quickly, the resume if you need it. Played only 9 years in the league, led the league in rushing in 8 of them. 8-time first-team All-Pro. He averaged 5.2 yards per carry over his career.
Peter, can I tell you, when they play some of these highlights to a flute, you know, it's an old school reference. Listen to this.
In 2002, he was voted the greatest player of all time when they took a vote, all right? And there was 12 teams in the NFL when he started, right? 12 teams. And he did it, broke the rushing record, broke everything. Here's the one I love. 12-game season. The rushing record for a single year was 1146. It stood forever.
1146.
He comes in his second year in the league and runs for 1527.
Smashed it.
Runs for more than 500 more yards than what the insane, and the way others respect him. I'll put Jim Brown in the comment. Brady's got the titles. Jim Brown might have the prestige.
Also the greatest lax player ever, I think.
Yeah, greatest lacrosse player ever.
Yeah, he was All-American lacrosse player.
Yeah.
And also, they didn't pass the ball.
They kind of knew that Brown was getting it.
Yeah,
He's going to get the ball. So we had this question posed in the morning meeting, and I immediately thought Jim Brown. So you took him off the table. But then I started breaking down the actual question, right? The best player ever, I guess, with accomplishments, you can't argue against Brady. Best football player ever. I'm going with Deion Sanders.
Okay, how come?
Because I feel like when he got the ball in his hands, there was nobody that pumped more fear into anybody in his era. Now, it's one thing to be a shutdown. Oh, my gosh, look at this.
I'm glad you answered this, Nate, just when we watch the highlights.
Thank you. One element, being a cornerback, a shutdown cornerback, that's tough to do, right? We don't get those every generation. To be one of the best returners ever, that's tough to do. Like Devin Hester did it, but that was pretty much all he did.
That was his deal.
And then there were times where they actually put him out there wide receiver and he made plays. So I guess you can break it down and say he wasn't the biggest tackler in the world and he moved around a little bit, but wherever he went, he was fantastic. Early in his career, when he landed somewhere, he won a championship. And when he touched the ball, he was dynamic. And it got to the point where he was so good and so dynamic.
Steve Harvey said this. He was celebrating from the 40.
From the 40. It got so bad that when other guys would intercept the ball, they would immediately turn around and look for Deion. These are the fastest, the strongest, the most athletic men in the world getting paid money to do a job. If you're a cornerback, go ahead and return it yourself.
Yeah.
They're turning around. Where's Deion? And give it to Deion. So for me, the best football player ever is Deion Sanders, and not to mention, he also played Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and he hit 300. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And he hopped out of limo and ran the fastest 40 time ever. I'm just saying,
in
his
like
legend
boots or something. Yeah,
legend
the versatility is for Deion. You can get really caught up in the hair splitting of the terms here. Best player versus greatest. I think greatest encompasses legacy and contributions to society, everything. I'm just going to keep this real simple and go with Jerry Rice. I'm going to go with Jerry Rice. I'm going to actually give it a modern tie, though. For what Rice has accomplished and the numbers that he put up, here's the modern tie I've got. Look at this guy, Michael Thomas on the Saints. Gotten off to an unbelievable start to his career, right? Michael Thomas just had a 1,400-yard season. Here's what he would have to do to catch Jerry Rice's numbers. Michael Thomas. He has to have 1,400 yards every single season for the next 14 seasons, the last of which he would be 39 years old, and then he can catch Jerry Rice. Don't forget, my friends, it's Montana and young, yes. Jerry Rice was playing wide receiver on 42 years old and catching touchdown passes from Matt Hasselbeck. Still doing it. Forget about it. Put it to bed. Rice, that's my guy.
Yeah. We're praising Julian Edelman for having 115 catches in the postseason, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice has 151 catches in the postseason.
That's insane. Here's the problem with your answers, and I like all of them. Help me understand the winning part of it, because we're talking, as you very clearly said, greatest football player. To me, that's the one who wins the most, has the most wins. So how can you not give it to Tom Brady if he has 9 conference championships and nobody has more rings than he does? That's where it gets a little tricky.
And he's quarterback. And he has more to do with the game than any of those people do.
We're never going to see another player do that.
I agree.
I don't think we are.
I feel like the guys that we named, you put them in any other jersey, they're still the greatest football players to ever play.
Fair.
Tom Brady goes to the Cleveland Browns. He's not the GOAT.
Jerry Rice has 3 Super Bowl rings. Deion's got 2, I believe, right?
Yeah.
With the Niners.
Yes.
Jim Brown didn't play in a Super Bowl, but he had an NFL championship. Like, they're all winners, but Brady's the greatest winner of all time.
He's the greatest winner. No doubt.
And I can't argue
Jim
that.
Brown led the league in rushing 8 out of 9 years.
Yeah, and left early. Could have played for more years, but left early to go to Hollywood, where he was a Hollywood star.
He played Fireball in The Running Man. Hello, he's in Mars Attacks. Hello.
Up next on Believe It or Not. Next up, Super Bowl 53 was Rob Gronkowski's last NFL game ever. Believe that or not, Kyle?
Yeah, and I hate sad Gronk and make sad Kyle and everything like that. I want to read a quote here. This is from the Boston Globe, and he talked to Gronk a few days before the Super Bowl. He said, there's ups and downs right now, but try to imagine getting hit all the time and trying to be where you want to be every day in life. It's tough. It's difficult. I take hits to the thigh. I take hits to the head, abusing your body. It's not what your brain wants. When your body is abused, it can bring down your mood. This is Gronk before the Super Bowl. I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to walk away. It's be very Gronk to walk away with a party on a high note. And, you know, I follow this story really closely because it's near and dear to me. Everything you read is that he has everything from standing offers from Vince McMahon to wrestle afterwards. You always hear about he saves all his money and lives off endorsement money. This to me looks like a goodbye. The way he spent the week there. Again, I don't have sources. I'm not connected inside the Patriots. I just have intuition in watching him. And what Gronk has, a lot of other players don't. Gronk has options. Yeah. I think he's walking away.
Yeah, he's definitely a superstar on and off the field. You know, I feel like once this settles down and Gronk sits on his couch in this offseason, he walks around with his brothers and he goes and shoots hoops at the local gym. He starts to feel like he's a little bit healthy. In that Super Bowl, he didn't look like old Gronk. He didn't look like the Gronk that was falling apart. He looked like dominant Gronk. And there's something to be said about the addiction that these Patriots have to playing the game of football. Tom Brady is addicted. He can't live without football.
Nobody's like Brady.
Julian Edelman grew out his beard and didn't care because the only thing that mattered was winning a Super Bowl. Even though Gronk has that demeanor that sometimes make him a big goof, he loves the football. He loves football just the same. So for me, I feel like this offseason is going to come around, and he's going to sit back and say, you know what? I still want to play this game. And I'm glad that you read that quote because I got a quote.
What do you got?
That I read, and you know, it gets me emotional every time that I read it.
It's a Gronk quote.
And it simply just says, yo soy fiesta.
I am party.
He is party. And he has a party on the field. And he doesn't want to sit on his couch and not be part of the party.
That's very dramatic.
I hope you're right.
Another sport, I'd say, 29 years old, no. But Gale Sayers retired after 5 years. Jim Brown retired after 9 years. Gronk has 3 championship rings.
Talk about it.
He's going to go down as the greatest tight end of his generation.
Talk about it.
Going to be in the conversation for greatest tight end of all time. If he's not healthy, and he's got this new love in his life, his girlfriend is everywhere with him, and he's satisfied personally and professionally, I would not be shocked if we never see Gronk play again, and there will be no knock to his career. He ended on a great note, 3 years, did it right, and he could have a party today. I almost don't need to see Gronk play ever again because it ended so perfectly.
I totally agree. It's like a storybook ending, no play. player, we heard Aaron Rodgers say it, so many players don't get to leave on their own 2 feet the way that they want to. If this was that, more power to him, and I'd be happy for him. More Good Morning Football on the way. They're getting ready to celebrate up in New England, Gronkster included. You can catch all of it right here on NFL Network. We have live reports this morning in Foxborough, awaiting all of the fans. Guys, set the scene for us. Boston's getting ready for another Super Bowl parade.
Well, first I'll start off with, I don't know who these friends of Will's are. If I can go to Disney World with no lines, I'm going. I don't understand how there's a debate in that sense. Here, there's plenty of lines. We started about an hour ago, Mike, about 3-4 deep along the street here. We're on Cambridge. Right now, it's about 10, 12, maybe 14 deep at parts across the way. This is the same parade route that they had in 2017. There's not going to be a rally after the parade. They're going to load those duck boats at about 11 a.m. over at the convention center, and then they're going to finally make their way to us a little after noon. But Mike, the crowd is entertaining themselves this morning.
Let's see, we just had a Yankee suck chant.
Yep.
We had a USA chant, so I was thinking like this is the 80 Olympics.
We're there.
They just beat USSR.
We're still here.
We're still here, and they want the guys to honk their horn. Anybody that goes by, they want to be entertained, so honk your horn, and it's not taking much to get these people fired up. A lot of Red Bull has been consumed, and maybe some other things. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. Well, I flew in last night from Atlanta, and every single TV that was on my flight was on the NFL Network replay of the Super Bowl win. We land here at Logan, and what happens? 13 seconds left. All the screens go black. It's time to get off the plane. People are not happy. So that was a great way to get into town. And then I talked to my cab driver who comes in and tells me the only 2 parades I like are Patriots parades and Red Sox parades. I'm like, well, you guys are lucky enough that you can pick which ones you like here in Boston with, 12 titles since 2001.
12 titles in that time. And remember 2 years ago, and this has sort of been a message from the mayor of Boston, we don't want open consumption of alcohol, beer cans being thrown, because there were beer cans being thrown in the parade 2 years ago. Rob Gronkowski had a couple and he fired them back. But then in the Red Sox parade about 3 months ago, Alex Cora and his daughter were on a duck boat. The manager of the Red Sox, they got hit by beer cans. They weren't asking for them, and it was like, let's kind of knock it down a little bit.
We'll try to keep things civil here, guys, for the rest of the afternoon. Send it back to you.
Enjoy it, gentlemen. I'm hearing the noise out there as fans trickle in. 35,000 were there in Foxborough for their send-off from the stadium before the Super Bowl. I can only imagine what the scene will look like today. We're bringing you that at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm sure there will be a lot of this, a lot of confetti, some beers, as the Patriots prep for another parade.